Hello, it's Stacey here, and I am very excited to bring to you a special guest to share the journey of a vision manifested. So today I'm joined by Stephen Eckert, and Stephen has a few roles in my life. So number one, he's my brother. He also owns I Did This Productions along with his wife, and together they put together all of these videos. So today, instead of being behind the camera, he's in front of the camera. So welcome.
Thank you.
To today's video. I invited Stephen here today to share the process of him realizing his dream. We are filming these videos in his home in Souk, British Columbia on Vancouver Island, which was a dream realized. So you were living in Alberta and the dream came from somewhere. So how was the dream even born?
When Jen and I got married, we've always kind of felt Alberta wasn't maybe the final destination for us. So we were always kind of as we traveled, keeping our eyes open. What feels like home? So one time we came to Vancouver Island and we came for a vacation, and it just felt like this is right. This is home. So that was about 10 years ago. And it started a conversation with us. It started putting a little seed in our mind. Mm-hmm. And it started talking about, if we were to move, where would we move? How much our house is there? Mm-hmm. Then it was, what's the weather there right now? And as time went on, it just became from, this is interesting, to we are moving closer to it. And about 3 years ago, we just started making decisions in that direction.
So I think that's so important is it first started like, something doesn't feel quite right about Alberta. And I think sometimes we feel like we're born with these dreams and people just know exactly what they want. And sometimes it's just noticing little, something doesn't feel right and staying open to possibility. Because what most people do is they say, I've just got to make myself happy here, rather than listening to, maybe there's a dream, maybe there's another idea. So you guys listened, you tuned in to something doesn't feel right, let's stay curious about what that could be, and you tried on possibilities.
Yes.
So then the seed got planted and it got fueled, and it was a maybe one day to we're doing this.
One little step at a time.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if we were making it or not. We were always getting closer, and it didn't matter if we knew what the plan was. It was always just, okay, now we know what area we'd like to start looking at.
What I think is important, again, what you're saying is when you take on something all at once, it feels too big, too overwhelming. And oftentimes what happens is our expectations are so high and then we don't see the results right away. There's this letdown or this disappointment. And what I hear you saying is there was this dream and it was just, let's take the step we can take. And as you took that step, then what was happening?
Every step that we took, it just made us more confident that this was really going to happen. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know the exact direction we were going to go in, but we knew it was going to happen. And we didn't even know what time frame it was going to take. But every step we took, every time we'd look at the weather, it just made it more real in our brain. So it was really fun to go on this adventure of discovering where we were going to go. And it kept our beliefs strong.
That's so important, because at first when a big dream gets launched, we don't always believe it, right? You don't see how you're going to get there and you don't believe it. But the way you build your believing is by doing what you can do. And the more you take those steps, it builds the believing. And so if you don't believe it's possible, not to let that stop you. It's normal, it's part of the process. And the believing happens as you take the step, you get evidence, this feels good, this feels right. And that believing grows and grows.
And we really saw it as it came closer, because the last couple of years, we sold our house. We didn't have a plan, we didn't have a house in our new place. So we sold our house without a house to move to. We came out one weekend and said, we have to buy a place. And we did it in 2 days. And I think the big thing for us too was keeping our options open. And we weren't looking for perfection. We didn't have a long list of 10 things that we needed. Our goal was to come here. Yeah. Everything else would work around it. Mm-hmm. So it worked out well. We found a place in a weekend. In a market that there was very little options. But we found the place that just suits us perfectly in a weekend.
What happens when you believe in your dream, you're taking the step you can, even when the conditions don't say that this is possible. So you came here looking for a house, and the market conditions were what?
Oh, the market conditions were very stingent. We came in with a list of 12 houses to look at, and by the time we started looking around at the houses, 4 of them had already sold. So the realtor told us that what we're looking for is going to be hard to find. And we said, well, we're pretty open. And we ended up finding something that just beat our expectations.
Which is so important, because as you're moving towards your dream, there's going to be experts that say this is impossible, this is going to be hard. It's a doctor, it's a real estate agent, it's a parent, and there will be people arguing for why your dream's not possible. But you had the belief, you had the expectation, and within 2 days, you found the perfect place for you. So on the other side of your dream realized, it sounds like smooth sailing.
Right.
And Steve Jobs, he says, it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards, but it's impossible to connect them looking forwards. So here we are sitting on the other side, so it's really easy to connect the dots. But when you're in the midst of the process, you don't know how it's all gonna unfold. So let's go back to, you have this dream, and it wasn't a clear path. So what were some of the things that would have felt like barriers, reasons why this might not happen? What were the conditions and circumstances arguing against your dream?
So time-wise, ideally, if we moved earlier, prices would have been cheaper, and the cost to move would have been less. I owned a business at the time. I had to sell the business and make that and we did not know when that was going to happen. Also, our daughter, we wanted to move before she reached her teens, and we were concerned about her support system, about her friends, about leaving her family, her extended family. So that was all a big concern, and it gave us a reason to make it happen sooner than later. And it actually encouraged us to make this happen in the time frame it did.
So not without conditions. So the price of housing, where you're going, you're owning a business, you have a daughter you've got to uproot. And for you sitting there saying, well, I have a dream, but let me tell you all the reasons why it can't happen or it's going to be hard, those don't go away. The timing's never right, the money's never right, the conditions are never perfect, but you were decided. And so what can we do to make this happen in this time frame? And he kept taking those steps.
Yeah, it was calling the realtor to sell our house, getting the moving all sorted out. All those were barriers, but it all moved forward to our goal. Again, the goal wasn't like if this happens, it became the goal, this is happening. So how do we go about making it happen?
Henry David Thoreau says, if one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams, and that's what you were doing.
That's what we were doing, yeah.
Endeavoring to live the life they're imagining. So keep doing what you can, knowing this is the direction, and doors kept opening. So 10 years ago, it was an idea, and here you are sitting in the living version of this life. So how does it feel? How does it feel?
It just, our heart is full right now. Like, we are realizing our love for the outdoors. We're walking, going outside all the time. We're by the ocean. 2-minute drive to the ocean in 3 different ways. It just feels like home. It feels right. And our winters are just more comfortable for us. And our whole family is just really enjoying it. Olivia has settled in with her school and her friends. And it's hard to even explain how excited we are to be here. Yes.
So if you were to look back at the version of you 10 years ago, because that's where people are right now, they have a dream, they have a vision, and they don't know how to get there. So being on the other side of it, and it doesn't have to take 10 years, but what would you say to that version of you now?
It's just keep on track. It's this, every little step, every time you look at something towards your goal, whether for us it was looking at the weather, looking at what is happening on the island at the time, when is our next trip just to go visit,
We talk a lot about the power of baby steps, and that's really what you were describing. There were some big steps that needed to be taken, but it was check the weather, look for houses, and not diminishing the power of those baby steps in service of your vision, because like Stephen said, each one of those is taking you closer.
Taking the baby steps made the big steps easy.
Yes.
There was no second thought on the big steps after you've been doing the small steps for so long.
Yeah.
Once you have the big steps in front of you, it's just like, oh, this is just what needs to get done.
It builds a momentum.
It built a momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting. And here's a benefit for me. I get to come and visit the island now and bring my kids and have these wonderful trips with my kids and to visit family. And so it's a dream fulfilled on my side too, which I think is important because sometimes we feel like following our dream is selfish. And there's a part of that's gonna leave people behind. And what I know to be true is that when you follow your passion, when you follow your purpose, there is good in it for everyone. And I believe as a family, we have certainly felt that. Well, I celebrate you and Jen and Olivia for taking those big steps and those small steps every day and for achieving your dream. And I hope this inspires you towards your dreams, and that just imagine taking that baby step today and continuing to do that. Where could you be a year from now, 3 years from now, a decade from now? But it requires you to take your step today. Here is to you living a life you love.